Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and today I thought I would chat with you guys a little bit about, when dumbbells can actually be useful. Because something I've said quite a few times, that realistically you can probably get as big and as strong as is humanly possible, at least in terms of your training tools. That has nothing to do with anything else in your life, your genetics, diet, and supplementation, purely on the training end. Every single muscle in your body can be maximally developed. You can get ridiculously strong, probably with a combination of barbells, dumbbells, body weight exercises. And I'm not saying some other tools can't be helpful, but realistically, barbells and body weight stuff are probably king, and then dumbbells can actually be useful as well. So the thing is, when it comes to dumbbells, when are dumbbells actually useful? And I think that is usually the case on exercises to where you're chasing a little more range of motion. And I know people will say, well, the independent nature lets you, well, I don't know that really and truly brings that much to the table. Again, just biomechanically, I know people like to say it, but if we're going to be honest, tension is tension. Range of motion is range of motion, and the ability of it to move freely, other than it adding range of motion, isn't really a factor. Just being harder to stabilize probably is not that big of a deal. Like, if that was actually a thing, people would completely disregard machines. In other words, if there was real evidence that being harder to stabilize actually produced more muscle growth, like by a substantial amount, the machine industry would be gone. No one would ever bother with the machine because it would just be silly. So I don't know that I buy into that. I don't think there's a lot of evidence for that. But what it does matter is a lot of your ranges of motion. I mean, well, the laterals, of course, you can see that free swing. But it really is oftentimes range of motion. Dumbbells can go places barbells can't. Right? They can go places barbells can't without your body getting in the way, other things. It's just that one less fixed plane. And again, so for certain types of curls, it can make a lot of sense. Right? It makes sense on, if you want to do some dumbbell curls, again, you can get some pretty good ranges of motion. It is not as difficult to reach the bottom. Like, notice you don't have to lean forward like you do with a barbell or an easy curl bar to get the bottom of the range of motion, right? Because it'll just clear your legs. That's a plus. The same could be said for some tricep movements. I think definitely the laterals. Again, you're not working around a barbell like you would on an upright row. I don't necessarily know that it's really more stimulus per se. The functions are very similar. But the point is, when you want to have longer ranges of motion to where barbells might get in the way, dumbbells really do make sense, although generally they're going to be better for smaller exercises because, again, we're dealing with stabilization, or at least higher reps, right? Because sometimes having to try to stabilize really heavy weights can be counterproductive, and you're probably better with a barbell there. Okay, and I'm going to say that cutoff is maybe somewhere in the maybe about 8 reps. So dumbbells, I tend to like them for exercises you're going to do 10 or more reps on, to where you're chasing additional range of motion. All right, so the dumbbell rows, like you saw me doing, that's a great example. And I'm not saying dumbbell presses can't be good. I've used them at different times. For me, though, for a secondary press, I like incline because I feel it gives me a lot. But dumbbell presses, certainly viable. I've used them. I've programmed them for many clients. I think they can be very good. I think they can be very good, just to again, the same situation. If for you, flat back benching, or if, let's say, you want to always arch on bench because you want to maintain practicing your arch for powerlifting purposes, for max purposes, then you can do all that and use dumbbells. Okay, so there's a plus there. But definitely the rowing, I like them for that because we can get really good ranges of motion. Because we are in a neutral grip, we can work a different grip a little easier than we can with a barbell, right? Because barbell, usually you're going to be pronated grip. I don't like supine on a barbell. I think it's a bicep tear risk. But the ability to do that hammer grip on a row the ability to stretch through a really long range of motion, because you can get that independent side, you can stretch really far and then bring it all the way up a little higher than you might, right? Because the bar would normally hit your chest. Now, people who do them really ridiculous, they hit their stomach, but they're really cutting range of motion out. But the dumbbell takes you to the other extreme, the ability to get even more range of motion than you can on a barbell when it hits your chest, just a little more there. It also allows you to get a really good stretch at the bottom. So this is a perfect example of when you might want to use a dumbbell, for a little bit more finesse of a row. Okay, right? Works really well for that. Perfect example of a good use of a dumbbell. And pairing this with another grip can be really useful. Like I right now, at the time I'm making this video, I'm doing these after I do pull-ups. Okay, doing them after a barbell row. That works really well also, especially if you're doing that pronated grip row. It's a little heavier weight. You come over to this, it's going to be really strict, really long ranges of motion. This is great for finishing overall development. Same thing with the dumbbell curl. Again, you can get some really good ranges of motion. Right? We can get things into some stretch positions and things a little bit easier. All right, this is where dumbbells shine. Now, can the case be made for the instability maybe allowing for more overall development? On some movements, yes, because your dumbbell path, I would say bar path, but in this case, the weight path may change based upon certain muscles fatigue on big movements. On small movements, that benefit will not be there. So what do we mean by a bigger movement? A press or a pull, right? Something involving multiple major muscle groups in which one of them might fatigue more. Your angle of your wrist and shoulder and everything might change as you get close to failure to get a little more work in, and maybe one of the muscles involved. There won't be multiple muscles, but there's a chance that maybe one of the muscles involved get a little more stimulus. Okay, that's not a bad thing when we're seeking muscle growth. Okay, not a bad thing at all. So really the role of dumbbells, though, is more for finesse type movements, right? Really as secondary exercises. And I think that's where they really shine. And what do I mean? After a big barbell movement, after a body weight exercise, dumbbells can really shine, even for lower body. Same thing, you can do a lunge or a split squat with dumbbells, and that's very effective. And I think a case of something like that, some additional grip training. So that's another use of the dumbbells. Single leg exercises where you want to get a little extra grip work and you want to unload the spine. So just like you would use a split squat with a barbell, you can do it with a dumbbell. You're not cranking a bar up on your back. All the benefits of a split squat, but you're getting some grip training too. So that's also another good use for dumbbells. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I'll talk to you guys next time.